and girls, your attention, please.
Hello and welcome back inside the Park from Air podcast number 981, the Australian Grand Prix review. This is Todd.
No, Todd, not now.
A.K.A. Negative Camera. You know what we do on race weekends?
We watch one, then we talk about it. Then we watch one, then we talk about it. Come on, Todd.
That's exactly what we do.
Stop yelling at Todd.
Stop yelling at me. You know the format. But before doing that, I do have to bring in my co-host, and you know what that means. Of course, I got to go all the way south where he's nestled in Texas, but I happen to know behind him he has a Samsonite suitcase ready to go to Sebring at the drop of a hat. You know him.
Rick from out of the wasteland. He's bad, he's beautiful, he's crazy.
Hello, everybody. This is Paul Charles, the International.
It's Paul, the sporting manager of the Heart of Racing Aston Martin team in the IMSA series in America. He's at the cutting edge of sports car racing, the Aston Martin Vantage GT3, the Aston Martin Valkyrie.
V12.
Whew, Paul, you got some serious horsepower you're overseeing there.
Yeah, it's good fun, right?
Yeah, it is. You're getting ready for Sebring.
Even Max Verstappen wants to join.
Yeah, he does. See, I texted, I sent you and Tom a message. I said, man, if WC was sharp and on their game, they would be getting some investors, setting up a team. They would get Max in that series in a heartbeat and try to siphon off a bunch of those F1 fans that are disenchanted.
And I'm probably sure it's going to happen at some point.
Yeah,
There's
probably
no
will.
doubt.
Probably will. Yeah. Well, Paul, we got the first race under our belt in Australia. Super excited about that. The season has begun.
Just another old race. Nothing much
another
going
typical
on, really.
race. Another ho-hum, yawner. You know what did not come out of this weekend? There was no
controversy.
Nothing at all.
No controversy, Paul.
Everyone just shook each other's hands and job well done. Nice race.
Well, job
everybody.
well done.
See you in China.
See you in China. Well done. Nothing to see here. Oh, boy. Yeah, I know what you're thinking.
It's a shitbox.
I know. We'll get into it. Trust me. We have opinions. Oh, trust me. We have opinions. We will get into them. First, I'm going to recap briefly the race for all of you. You all watched it. You know what happened. But Charles Leclerc had a great start, rocketed up from fourth to the lead, threading past George Russell and Isaac Hadjar into turn one. Lewis Hamilton serves from seventh to third. And then you had Kimi Antonelli dropping down to seventh. And, early on you had Ferrari leading 1-2. Everything looked pretty good for Ferrari, the team behind me. As a Ferrari fan, I was pretty darned excited at this point. I thought, aha! But,
Gotcha.
Yeah. I was brought, as a true Ferrari fan, I was brought back down to earth rather quickly. Lap 12, pivotal. Isaac, his Red Bull went up in smoke, halted, virtual safety car came out. Mercedes boxed both drivers for hard tires. Ferrari, very much like McLaren last year in Qatar, but Ferrari decided to go for track position, which I have to, we'll talk about when we review Ferrari's race. Mm-hmm. There's an Easter egg. You'll want to know what I think about my team. Anyway, a second virtual safety car came out when Valtteri's Cadillac failed, and then after Leclerc and Hamilton pitted, Russell and Antonelli led on a bold one-stop strategy, as Antonelli said. Max, from 20th to 6th, overtaking Arvid, Lindblad, Ollie Behrman. Lando Norris fended Max off for 5th, unable to match the front runners, though. That's where he finished. And then the rookie, Lindblad, really shone with 8th on debut for Racing Bulls. A great run for Gabriel Bortoleto. Grabbed 9th in Audi's Works debut. Fantastic result. And Pierre Gasly claiming the final point in Alpine, which I thought was really good despite contact with Esteban. And then you had Aston Martin's woes. Obviously, Fernando Alonso retired. Lance came in, retired, then went back out, then retired. A lot of vibration issues. And then Oscar Piastri, boy, if he pulled an Isaac Hadjar, crashed on the formation lap, didn't go to the grid. Nico Hulkenberg didn't start had a major issue. We'll cover that in the team review. And then Russell nursed his tires home, won by 2.9 seconds over Antonelli. Leclerc took third, just 0.9 seconds ahead of Hamilton, who criticized Ferrari's strategy, and so Lewis was right. I agreed with him. The regulations fueled overtakes and a lot of tension, a lot of nervousness on the grid during the race, during the start. And, Lando Norris pretty vocal. A lot of drivers very vocal about that. Very vocal about the energy rules, and Lando said it was artificial and risky. The closing speeds, as we saw at the start, my gosh, Franco Colapinto just about piled it up in the back of Liam Lawson's car, who was slow. Mm-hmm. That was great reflexes. But anyway, so much to talk about, Paul. So much to talk about these regulations. Nice. Now, I was holding my opinion over the weekend while I was on the socials, and I was going to wait, even after qualifying, everybody was just apoplectic, and I was going to wait after that, and I was going to weigh in after the race. And so I watched it. Yes, I have strong opinions about it, but I wrote a piece over at our website, theparkforme.com, talking about why it seems wrong and how to fix it. And so I spent some time over the weekend looking at the technical regulations, and I was trying to say, if I was going to fix it, what might be the way to fix it? So if you haven't read that editorial piece, you can zoom right over there and read that. But that's just my thoughts. I'm trying to be very unbiased, and I'm not on a big screed, and I'm not on a soapbox. This is a joke, and blah, blah, blah. I didn't do any of that. I tried to be measured, as we always are here, and just offer some constructive feedback. So that's what I did. And I'm sure Stefano is reading every word of it.
He always
so let's talk about, always does. Let's talk about regulations, Paul. It's the elephant in the room. So we have the new 2026 regulations. I think you and I, contrary to a lot of the other commentary that I saw online during testing, etc., even late last year and during testing, I think you and I tried to be a little more measured in our potential criticism, even after the original Barcelona shakedown. Excuse me. Because we said, look, the regulations already, it's pretty obvious what it's going to be like. The question is do they apply it accurately? You and I talked about it long before the first race weekend about kind of is what it is, and this is what we're dealing with, and will they be smart about how they apply these regulation sets? So we head into this weekend. They made a couple little tweaks, but your initial thoughts, and then I can share mine. Paul, what'd you think?
Initial thoughts. Well, I wasn't surprised. I mean, I was excited going into watching the race, not because I thought this was going to be a barnstormer. I was just excited to just see what the hell was going to happen, really. The new rules, who's going to be reliable, how everyone's going to adapt to these rules, and how they're going to run their race, because that was definitely something you couldn't really glean from testing, right? Yeah. We couldn't see how everyone matches up. We knew maybe who had a fast car and this and that, but a fast car on a lap didn't really mean too much when you get to the race here, especially with these new regulations. I wouldn't be measured about it because I don't think it's all doom and gloom. I don't think, the sky has fallen. I certainly think there's time to make some adjustments to make things a little better, but this track obviously wasn't the ideal situation for Formula One to launch these rules. But then again, you can go ask Formula One, okay, why didn't you have a bit of forethought, and maybe instead of throwing everything into one basket, why don't you just kind of have a little trepidation, maybe ease into this system? I mean, I've never really agreed with the 50-50 rule. I think that's way too much bias on the electric side. And we saw where the negatives are there. We don't want these big differentials. We don't want the cars running out of power, when competing with a car. I don't. If they all had the same energy and they were allowed to deploy it at the same time, I'd be okay with that, because it's kind of like push to pass, right? You can use it where you want when you want it, but you don't have anything more or less than the other ones. And what we found with this overtake mode is it's really just an invisible DRS, and more extreme. And And once again, I never liked DRS, not because I don't like wins opening, because I don't like inequality between drivers and cars when you're in a battle for a position. And there was definitely a lot of inequality there. And I think the overtake mode was extreme and not necessary. I think if they balance out how they deploy this energy in the battery and just kind of leave it at that, I think then it's up to the driver to make the best of that situation and work with their team on the best way to deploy it. But when you've got the overtake mode, it just kind of throws all that out the window, really. The biggest thing that I got from it was I just hate the super clipping. I hate the idea that you're using the engine to charge the battery. Is that the point? I love the idea of hybrids. I love the idea that you're using energy that was just going to disappear into the cosmos and put energy back in the car. That energy should be used for making the car, giving the car more performance, not just replacing less performance, really, in the end. And just when you're seeing, drivers at half throttle, even though they're at full throttle and half the energy, it really is kind of counter to what the whole idea of this hybrid was. You're using an engine and fuel to charge a battery. That's not what you're trying. That's not the sustainability. That's not the green effort. I won't even go into how the use of the tires adds a negative to their green initiative, right?
Right.
So, yeah, I
To
think
that point, Paul, was anyone talking this entire weekend about the cutting edge, very expensive biofuels, sustainable fuels that we're using? Nobody was talking about that. Not a word, not a peep.
No,
it was
which
all
is probably
overshadowed
a bigger
by
thing for the general
is.
public for the world than anything.
Absolutely, absolutely. And nobody was talking, not a peep about it. It was all about the damn battery, right?
Yeah, it's all about battery and how they can use it and who's using it, who's not using it, and it should be a tool, but as I said, they just took way too big a chunk out of the ICE power and put too much reliance on the battery. That isn't enough, right?
No,
it isn't enough.
It's not fit for purpose.
No, and so they need to. I think that it's not irreversible. I think that they can still stay within what's been developed and maybe change some things so you're not running out of power before the end of a race. So the differentials in speed aren't so massive because you've got overtake mode plus battery mode plus someone's depleted their battery. I mean, there was a big speed differential, and that's kind of what Norris was talking to on the dangers. I mean, I think Ocon even got a penalty for overslowing. And he was in a battle for a position. He wasn't slowing, he was overslowing to try and make this whole thing work. I think, it is the first race, and I think the teams will get better. And if they came back to Australia in 10 months and did the race again, I think it would be a whole different thing. So I think there's a lot of learning to do. And I think as they learn, the teams will gradually narrow down to very similar techniques on the race. So I think that's, there's going to be less, they're fishing around, they're literally, it's a laboratory out there. They're trying to find the best way. And
exactly.
That's what we saw out there. Unfortunately, in a world championship race, we got to see them basically testing and trying to figure it out. So
I agree.
Yeah.
I think, I wrote in my editorial piece about how to fix this. I wasn't advocating completely abandoning this. Everybody spent a lot of time. This is what happens when the manufacturers make the rules. I was not suggesting we abandon it, but I do think we should retreat from the 50-50. If this is the world's most premier motorsport, and if Formula One was waning in popularity, I could see them throwing everything in the kitchen sink at trying to get more eyeballs and keep fans. And I get it, but it's not. It's at its zenith at this point. There was no need to even change it. And so, I mean, this is kind of what NASCAR did to itself, right? Back in the day. and they lost tons of loyal fans, all for the pursuit of the casual. And so they felt that impact. You personally, Paul, know a lot of folks in the NASCAR world, and you know what they've gone through in the last 15, 20 years, and the damage that was done. And so I'm advocating we retreat from the 50-50, go 60-40, 70-30, give more power to the ice, and stop the nonsense on the super clipping and all that. I think, to your point, to harvest waste energy to charge the battery to add boost makes sense. So the kinetic makes sense. The other side of that, like you were saying, the overtake mode and the boost, it negates the advantage of a genius like Adrian Newey, who nailed the aerodynamic intricacy of their car to be able to run faster, by saying it doesn't matter what Adrian Newey designs, because I'm gonna rock up in a Cadillac or a Dallara chassis that's nowhere near that, but I got overtake and boost. I'm gonna fly right by Adrian's car, And it's like, in any other world that wouldn't be possible, right? Cars race cars of like performance. The idea that any given Sunday any one of the 22 cars can win the race is strictly BS. That isn't how the sport has ever or will ever work. So trying to negate aero advantages through, the overtake mode and boost and all that, trying to, placate the manufacturers by saying it's 50-50. I mean, we're teetering on Formula E territory now, and it
definitely
seems
don't want to be there.
Definitely don't. And you say, well, why have all this in Formula One? Just go watch Formula E. Well, why? Because nobody's watching Formula E. And if they're not watching electric racing in Formula E, then they want to, even some of these manufacturers dip their toe in Formula E, spend a lot of money in Formula E, and have pulled out because there's not a demand. There's not a ton of viewers. And so they go, okay, well, let's go make Formula One more electric. Well, how good of an idea is that, right? I mean, this almost seems like, I don't know. It just seems like wanton, damage to your own sport. But yeah, from my point, I think I'm like you. I don't want to overreact. We got what we got. It is what it is. I would just like the FIA and F1 to take a very sensible look. I saw someone post something on social media and said, at the Australian Grand Prix, there was 123 passes, and last year there was only 45. And then they said I had guffaw. They were like, and a bunch of people were worried there'd be no passing. No, I was worried that there was going to be 120 passes. That's exactly what I was worried about, right? That's nonsense.
We went to a basketball game instead.
Yeah, exactly. This is, it's not Formula One in its pure sense. I agree with the drivers. Everybody's like, oh, well, okay, the drivers are all upset, but the fans are happy and Formula One's happy, and now the drivers, and now they're all a bunch of crybabies and all that. I think you're overestimating how excited the fans are about this in that statement. I don't think they are. The casual fan may not care one way or another, but I think anyone that's invested any time in any gray matter in Formula One is going to be very perplexed by what we're seeing. To your point, pre-podcast recording, this is a difficult track, and it was always going to exploit the shortcomings of this regulation set. And my expectation would be that they would take a step back and sort of start tweaking the model. I think if you could get the platform where different tracks that the battery could handle it without super clipping, great, it's 50-50. But other tracks, it's 60-40, 30, 70-30, and really start pushing the ice, the biofuels. I think sustainable fuels is a big, big storyline that they should be talking about. They're not. Also, Paul, I think it's worth mentioning, I hope I'm not stepping on your toes, but people. I mean, what you shared with me the other day, I thought was an important factor that I haven't heard a lot of people talking about either, is that the operating windows of this year's tires is much wider.
Right.
Now, we did see graining, but that means that it's interesting. Imagine if it was 70% ice, 30% curves, adding power for a simple boost. That would be interesting because the contact patches are narrower, the operating temps are wider. The cars are a little more on the nose. They're a little more nimble. They're lighter. I think that actually could be a lot of fun.
Yeah, no, I mean, there's potential in it. I mean, I think, as I said, the operating window, I think all that came about because Pirelli, we've always said, Pirelli don't make a bad tire. They're just told to make a bad tire. They would, and so
as a construct,
with the new rules, they were a little worried. These cars are going slow, they're going fast, they're going half speed through a corner because they're trying to send all the energy. The operating, keeping that very fine line of the operating window is nearly impossible at that point. So Pirelli then had to develop a tire that had a larger window, which they can do, and which probably led to why the pit strategy worked for Mercedes anyway, right?
Yeah, right.
More durable, wider window, all that kind of good stuff. And
exactly.
So, yeah, I mean, I agree that let's use that opportunity for the better tire now. You can add a little spice with the electric. I feel bad for the people on the last corner in Australia because basically all the drivers are going around that corner at half throttle.
Yeah,
just as the clipping was. It's like when you're not going through a corner as fast as you can, there's something wrong.
You're missing the point. I was just going to say
they're not on the edge to get a good exit. They're getting on. They're using the corner to regenerate power so they can get on the gas a third of the way down the straightaway. That's not right.
It's not
and
right.
That should never happen.
And they were saying, well, they are driving flat out. It's just the car's not going flat out. It's in periods of harvesting and all that. And I'm thinking, Paul, if you go back to your days as a young boy growing up in karting, imagine you get in that kart and you're flooring it around the track, but the car's like derating constantly. And here you are, full peg throttle, and you're slow and going down slow. It's just not. It's antithetical to racing. Since
being at full throttle doesn't mean you're on the edge. The engine, you're physically on, but the car's not giving it full throttle. It's not on the edge through the corner, and that's where it's gone haywire a little bit. And
you could say, it's just the old drivers, this is different for them. No, Ollie Behrman, one of the youngest guys on that grid, said, this is BS. This isn't racing,
Right.
So it's not a old Lewis or Fernando or those older guys can't get their head around all the complexity of the new technology and all that because they weren't raised on gaming and sims and all that. That's not true. Even the young guys don't like it. And one other thing I want to bring up, Paul, and you can speak to because you're a professional driver, is the issue, and I don't remember if it was Lando or Sergio or whatever.
Yeah.
But they were saying
looking at the screen,
they were looking at the steering wheel so much that they couldn't even drive very well because they're spent most of the time looking at the steering wheel. And for the FIA, who champions safety, Paul, that's a major issue.
It is. I mean, what the FIA are here primarily for road safety, and they're basically creating rules that create distracted racing drivers at 200 miles an hour, which is not on at all. So, I mean, you've been behind people that are sitting there driving and they're looking at their phone every 2 seconds and their speeds. I mean, that's regular just cruising along on the road. Think about what that does to you as you're driving a racing car, as a Formula One car, and you're looking out the screen, you're looking up, you're like basically driving to a bar graph, and that shouldn't happen. Once again, that's all to do with that super clipping and how much speed. He was saying he had to look to see what speed he was doing, so he'd know where.
So
to
he could
brake.
tell where the braking. Yeah.
Right, and that needs to go away because. And the FIA should make that go away for that very reason, because they're about road safety or driving safety.
Yeah.
And they're causing... It was bad enough already when they were making all these different adjustments to the car with diffs and all that kind of stuff.
Bias and mapping.
But that's another thing when you're literally just dipping your head, every 2 seconds as you're going down the straight. That's going to cause a very big issue.
Yeah, I think so too. As presented, very unhappy with it. This is, to me, is the pinnacle of motorsport, and it should remain that. This is, I mean, the gamification of racing, I'm not interested in. Racing is a for real sport. It's not a sim. It's not a PlayStation. People get hurt. People die in this sport. You have to take it seriously. Distracting drivers, going through all these different menus, trying to figure out, along these little, you're bouncing and all that stuff, and you're trying to read a bar graph on where the energy and trying to adjust. I used to brake at 50 meters. Now I got to do it at 70. And, oh no, now I can do it at 50. And I mean, it gets too complicated to be safe, if I'm honest. And so for my money, I'm not suggesting we abandon the whole thing. You could just bring back last year's car, but I'm saying we need to retreat from the 50-50, increase the output of the ice, rely on the ice. The energy is there as a boost, as an aid, and, talk about the sustainable fuels we're using, the energy, harvest off kinetic harvest, get rid of the super clipping, and come up with some creative, boost application, because the overtake mode thing is already neutering a lot of the aero advantages these teams have gained through incredible gray matter and time and design.
And the advantage that a driver can earn by being a better driver.
Exactly.
Right? It's
yeah.
like, I can be a much worse driver, but if I've got an extra 200 horsepower, pass is pretty easy.
Exactly. So no, exactly what happened is what some people are all excited that if there's 120 passes, and that was my fear.
Right. But are they sporting passes, or they just changes of position, which is what my fight with that DRS was the whole time. So
the whole time as a construct, it wasn't sporting passes. And I drew the parallel. There's 1,000 passes in NASCAR. The only ones that mean a damn thing are the sporting passes in the last 5 laps. Right. And Formula One has always been that way. And if you're wanting that, then Formula One is not the series for you. It just isn't. So, I hate it. You and I have been watching since we were in utero, and I hate it what they're doing to my sport.
I mean, the thing with what Formula One, it's the height of motorsport. The drivers, the cars, the technology. It's not necessarily going to be the best racing you'll ever see. You could go down the road to, the local racetrack, like where I was racing a couple of weeks ago, and you'd see a better race. But so don't try and make Formula One be a Saturday night banger race out on the oval. It's just not that way. It's so much more complex, which is what I love about it. The technology is a major part, which is what I love about it. But it's don't try and make it everything for just I know. To that point, Drive to Survive exploded not because everybody was excited that we were going to wholesale turn the entire series upside down with a 50-50 battery split and that there was going to be 120 passes. You got it right with DTS because it was right place, right time during COVID, etc. What did people fall in love with Formula One for via DTS? It wasn't they fell in love with it because of the battery in the back of the car. They fell in love with it because of the people, the storylines, the sport, the collisions. DTS didn't really show the racing so much.
No.
It showed you the story behind the racing.
Yep.
Right?
And you and I, when we were little, when I was younger, being British, you had the opportunity just to hop down to the newsstand and grab a fresh copy of Autosport for that week, and see what the cars did at Brands Hatch that weekend and all that. I had to spend $300 and some odd to get those mailed, and they were always 2 weeks late. But I did it because I couldn't get any of the coverage over here. I was so enamored, with following the news stories and what was Bernie Eccleston doing and Max Mosley and trying to figure out what teams were doing. And the writers back then were, Nigel Roebuck and the team. They were great, right? And that's why I fell in love with the sport. It's the people. It's the stories, It's not the 50% battery power. It's a joke. So I don't want to panic, but because every track, as you said, even before we got to this weekend, will be different on energy deployment and all of that. So I'm hoping that the FIA will come in, or Formula One will come in and make the right tweaks to rebalance the series a little bit, get us back on song, and get us back to letting these drivers show what they can really do.
And deference to them. You also don't want them to do knee-jerk reactions.
No, I don't.
Unfortunately, they need to probably see it 2 or 3 races before they can hopefully make a realistic decision. So I don't know if we're going to see anything change quickly. Maybe we shouldn't, even though we want it. Even though it makes sense in our head, they've got to kind of do due diligence a little bit.
Right.
And then also talk to the team and say, hey, what can you actually do
to
fix this thing, right? So
yeah, and this is what the teams wanted. But, and look, I'm not, I've seen a lot of people just going over the top ballistic, and their comments are brutal. I'm not that guy. I've got a lot of deference for Formula One. I've got a lot of deference for the FIA and the teams and what they're trying to achieve, and that's fine. And I agree with you, Paul. This isn't time just to hack, slash, and burn and do a knee-jerk, stupid, pragmatic decision. They need to be prudent. They need to, and like you, can we give them 3, 4, 5 races, get their feet, under them, and figure out and watch the teams learn and figure out how they can tweak it. And make a measured approach to the types of adjustments that they need to do to improve the racing and all that. And I think you and I both, we're measured about it. We've got deference for what they're going through. Yeah. I think this is a bridge way too far, and they need to fix it. And I think we need to give them time to do so, would be my thought.
But what we do need to do is have them do something.
Do something,
said, not necessarily immediately, but I don't want it to be 2, 3 races down and then go, well, we're kind of okay. No.
Yeah. No,
let's you kind of have a good idea, a good picture. You got something you can work with, but let's be realistic and let's make it back to the sport that we love.
Right.
With those adjustments. So.
I agree. All right. Well, let's talk about the teams and drivers as they finish. We're going to start right off at the sharp end of the grid. Mercedes, they confirmed. Basically, this weekend, they confirmed preseason's expectations by delivering a dominant 1-2, both cars quick all weekend, yet the race was far from straightforward. Russell dropped to second at the start, fought Leclerc in a yo-yoing early battle before pitting into the first virtual safety car. Antonelli fell to 7th on lap 1, but recovered through some really measured overtakes. Just a great result for him. And then he synced his stop with Russell's. And that was good. So they stacked them. Kimi said, well, it's a bold decision. But they did. They ran to the end on one set of hard tires and that paid off as Ferrari couldn't close the gap. And it was interesting because the one tire commentary that came out from a few teams was that Max, I think they said they had quite a bit of graining. So regardless of the wider operating window, there was some graining issues up and down the paddock for sure. George Russell, start with him, Paul, struggled off the line after his battery was unexpected depleted, losing the lead to Leclerc, reclaimed it on lap 2, repeatedly swapped positions with the Ferrari during a hectic 10-lap battle, which was just nonsense. But he pitted under the Hadjar virtual safety car and then managed the hard tires as he's wont to do. He's very good at that. Locked up heavy at turn 1, but kept control of that. Built a cushion late on to secure the victory. Later said the fight with Leclerc was a hell of a fight and praised the team for delivering a great car. The car is there, and I think you and I have said it for the last couple of years that the car's there. Russell's going to deliver, and he did.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think, a lot of learning went on the outlap, I guess, to try and recharge their battery. But as we know, the first actually launch off the line is non-battery enhanced, correct? Did they?
Yep.
Unless they retracted on that. But yeah, to go into the start and look and see you've got 0, he probably knew he was a sitting duck at that point.
Yeah.
The fight back and forth, both drivers, him and Leclerc, are learning how to use these systems, and we saw some pretty extreme speed differentials and passes in crazy places. But I think in the end, Russell just settled down because I think he knew eventually it was going to come his way. So instead of the constant battle with Leclerc, he decided just to kind of settle in and wait for his time, which he did. And when they pretty quickly, once that VSC came out, and then he was able to kind of utilize the superiority of that car without having Charles to just dive bomb him or whatever you want to call it every lap, and kept him away from them so he could basically make use of that chassis and the speed of that car and close the gap and then give himself an advantage once the Ferrari's pitted.
Right. Yeah, Kimi, good race for him too. P2, crashed heavily on FP3, bounced back to qualify second, finished there, lost several positions at the start, complaining he had no grip, but worked his way back to fourth by lap 10, stopped under the virtual safety car with Russell, then shadowed George really in that second stint, brought it all home for 1-2. First 1-2 for Mercedes since I think they said 2019, which is great. He questioned the one-stop strategy as brave, but ultimately supported that decision and ran a good race. You and I may have a different opinion on this. I love it that Kimi's on the ragged edge. And I know he crashed in FP3, but I think this he's a tiger. I love it. He's going to make mistakes. He is going to crack it up, but he's finding the limit. And, this is a young guy who was a rookie last year, and he's on P2. So great result.
Yeah, it's not often your driver crashes a car and get a hug from Toto, though, right?
Yeah, yes. George wouldn't have got that treatment.
He wouldn't have. Yeah, I think Toto would have just slammed down his headphones and left the building.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
it's a special kind of love for Kimi.
It's a lot of love for Kimi, yeah. And there's no doubt he's got massive talent. He definitely was more on edge the whole weekend than George was. George was more complete, more calm, just kind of no drama. Kimi's trying to get there, and which is good for Kimi. He could, what George is doing is actually where, it's a good thing for Kimi to learn how to win races, how to become a world champion, because no doubt he's probably got that potential too. But George's experience is really showing right there. An amazing job by the Mercedes crew to turn Kimi's crash car around. I'm very angry at them because as soon as I saw the car crash, I was like, I came back to our fantasy thing and changed my whole team, because I'd actually originally picked George, Kimi, and Charles top three, and I was like, well, there's no way they're fixing that. Kimi's going to have to start from the back, and he's not going to be on the podium. So I switched my team around, and lo and behold, I see the Mercedes roll out and quality. I'm like, yeah. But yeah, just an amazing job. And I don't know if you saw some other people that had their phones on them in the garage, were kind of filming them. I mean, I know what that's like.
Yeah.
And how that many people knew what their job was and fixed that car to get it out, to me, is mind-blowing.
Yeah, it's amazing.
We've had crashes on our team, and there's, done an amazing job in turning the car around, but I've not seen anything like that.
Yeah.
Especially
it was amazing.
When you think it's the first race with this new angling regulations, and to, it's one thing if, we've been driving this car for 2 years, everyone knows their part, everyone knows where every bit's go. These are brand new cars to the mechanics as well. Just an astounding job.
Yeah. It's amazing. And kudos to Mercedes. They come out of the box super strong. I think most people thought they would be, and so they are. So great job from Toto and the entire team. Just, a perfect weekend for them to get started.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Ferrari, my boys. So they had great starts, gave them a sniff of victory early on. Leclerc and Hamilton led early, enjoyed the new energy deployment duels with Russell. They said, however, staying out during both virtual safety car periods kind of backfired. By the time they pitted, Mercedes had regained track position with a 10-second gap. The Ferrari was quick, but couldn't match the Mercedes efficiency on the hard tire. And there's a part of me, Paul, that feels that they may have defaulted to securing track position based on past performances, or how they may have approached it more than what they were actually showing at the start. I mean, that Charles can actually dice it with George, through energy deployment, overtake, boost, all that. And I was stunned that they didn't box. I think maybe the second VSC, maybe they had just missed the window, and that was a real short VSC. So I don't hold that against them, but I was stunned, and so was Lewis Hamilton, that they didn't even split the strategy. Because if they were thereabouts with Mercedes, with the overtake and boost, I think they could have at least kept them honest. But as it was, they couldn't close 10 seconds.
Yeah, I agree. I think I understand what they were doing, because I think they knew that Mercedes were a bit quicker and they were trying to get a tire advantage. But I think they thought, it's lap 12. That's the first VSC. We know there's going to be more. There's unreliability out there. I think they were just banking on a later VSC so they could actually just have a tire advantage to be able to fight the Mercedes. But obviously that never came, or when it did come, it didn't come at the right time, so they missed the window. But keep that in mind. That's why you split the strategy, so you don't have both cars lose out, right? So definitely, I can see them keeping Charles out because he was leading at that moment. Yeah. And then, hey, Lewis, do whatever Russell does, and split the strategy, right? That was a pretty simple call. So I don't understand why they didn't do that. Now, I thought Lewis had a new engineer this year, but boy, he sure sounded like the old engineer.
He did, didn't he?
And Lewis's attitude or verbiage or demeanor with the other engineer sounded very much the same. Let me get on with it, guy. Yeah. Why the hell didn't we pit? Yeah.
Yeah. Why did we fit? Why would you do this? Yeah, I know. Charles produced the move at the race by launching from fourth to first into turn one and swapping the lead repeatedly with Russell. Managed a long first stint, lost crucial time by pitting later in Merckx, fended off Hamilton to secure a podium, lamented the strategy call, as did Lewis. Look, would they have, had they boxed Charles? Could they have beat Mercedes? Don't know. But what I would say out of this weekend at this particular track, the perceived pace advantage of the Merc maybe wasn't as great as I was fearing it might be. However, could it be argued that once Merc saw they didn't box, they pretty much had it and they were managing their pace? Why push it if you don't need to? And they didn't need to. They weren't under pressure. They kept a 10-second, 9-second gap.
Yeah, reliability is a big thing. Why push
reliability is huge, so turn them down. So maybe that delta actually is there, which I fear, but it didn't really reveal itself in its entirety here because it didn't need to, would be my hunch. Could be wrong, but anyway.
I think that's a fair assessment.
Yeah, good P3 for him. And then Lewis jumped from seventh to third at the start. Questioned Ferrari's call, as he should have. He said at least one of us should have come in. He's right. Couldn't overtake Leclerc late on, finished 0.6 behind him. From Lewis's seat, I mean, he, good on him. He seems to have responded to this regulation set, at least the car and the characteristics of the car. I'm not suggesting the energy and all that, but I think the car itself, how it handles. Notice, Paul, during the Friday sessions and stuff, Ferrari go into that corner, they have a little bit of snap, coming out of those corners. They catch it. Yeah. Charles would do the same, meaning the car's a little loose. He likes it, to be able to hustle it. Whereas Mercedes looked a little more planted through the apex. You'd see Lewis kind of catch the back end, not huge. He wasn't seesawing, but, he'd catch it. And so I think it's a good sign for Lewis that he's P4.
Yeah, no, I would agree. I think, he's obviously pretty close to Charles in the fight at the beginning and then obviously close to him at the end. So I think it's game on for Lewis, certainly a lot more positive than how it began last year. So, I don't.
And we know, Paul, a happy Lewis is a much faster Lewis.
That's right, yeah. And if it's a car he enjoys driving, as you say, maybe it's a little edgy, but if it's something they can grab by the scruff of the neck and wheel through the corner, then that's going to enhance. The better drivers are going to do better.
Yeah,
and Lewis is obviously one of them.
Yeah, for sure. Let's talk about Grace's team, McLaren. Reigning world champs had a mixed weekend. Lando Norris qualified sixth, complained that the new rules made racing artificial and dangerous. Oscar Piastri crashed on the way to the grid and didn't start the race, so really not much to talk about. Let me get Oscar out of the way because there's not much, but certainly the hometown hero. The whole fans were there, but he clipped the curb on his outlap, spun into the barrier, damaged suspension beyond repair. He was out, heartbroken, obviously, but he apologized to the fans, accepted blame. But apparently, to me, I was watching a lot of onboards and seeing the revs and all that, and apparently he had a torque spike that caught him off guard. And when he tried to shift out of it to negate that torque spike, then he got wheel spin. As he shifted, he was on the curb, spun him around. But yeah, it was unfortunate because I think maybe Oscar, well, having a McLaren 1-2 attack would have fared better for him, clearly. But with the energy, hometown crowd, all that, I think Oscar would have done well here.
Yeah, it was pretty brutal. Yeah, I didn't hear about that little nuance that he actually got the spike before he shifted. It would make more sense if he got the spike because he shifted on the curb. But I don't know that. I didn't see the replay or anything. Either way, it was it his mistake? Probably. But, also another little gremlin of the rules and that the team are going to have to learn these things.
Yep. He wasn't watching the steering wheel close enough.
He wasn't watching the steering wheel close enough. So I'm sure it was an anomaly with the car, and you don't. And as I've learned as we develop the Valkyrie sports car is, sometimes things happen that have never happened before because you've never been in that situation before, and then you can fix it post event, post that But unfortunately, this moment sent him in the wall. But these things probably happen all the time during the weekend, and the teams are constantly trying to fix and massage the car's electronics to all these little anomalies that happen on every track that's going to be different from race to race to race.
Yeah, right. Right, it will. Lando, clean start, briefly ran fourth, stuck behind Lindblad after the VSC, made 2 stops. He was pretty much worried that the one stop was not on, not with those tires, and he held off for stopping for fifth. Later, criticized the rules, said, we need to do better. I mean, he wasn't totally disappointed in P5, but felt that it's obvious they have a lot of ground to make up. So,
yeah, I think he changed the tires because he knew the threat was coming from Max behind. He was on a whole different race than the Mercedes were.
For sure, so, that's a great point.
Him keeping the tires under him wasn't really going to help him any because Max would change the tires and then attack. So
that's a
countered
great point.
the attack of Max.
Yeah. Speaking of Red Bull, really not a weekend to forget for them. Verstappen's qualifying crash left him last on the grid. Hadjar's retirement triggered the virtual safety car. Car just lacked Mercedes-like efficiency all around, but Max did a Max, right? Started 20th. Used an aggressive 2-stop strategy to climb through the field, had a lot of great passes, passed Lindblad and Behrman, among others, many others, and pressured Norris but couldn't get by. Described the race as damage limitation and, like Norris, very critical of the new regulations, was our Max.
Yeah, it was a great drive from the back there, and obviously that crash in the qualifying, right? Mm-hmm. Was it qualifying that happened? Yeah, just very, very similar to what happened to Oscar, really, whereas the rear end just kind of snapped around on him for whatever reason.
Locked up.
And it was nothing, certainly wasn't a driver mistake. I didn't even see the tires lock up. That was why it was weird. It seemed like the bias was just really crazy. But either way, once again, one of these moments that you can fix as a team after the event occurs, but till you've seen that event occur, you can't kind of understand that it was going to come. So I'm sure they've
kind of a case of you don't know what you don't know. You
don't know what you don't know.
Yeah. True. Isaac qualified a fantastic third. Lost a few spots at the start. Retired on lap 11. Smoke coming out of the engine. Game over, causing the virtual safety car. A lot of people saying, "Oh my gosh, he's on par with Max and all that." I think we need to be realistic here and set a. I mean, he set a great baseline for sure, and shown that he may be much closer to Max than many previous drivers. And I think that's awesome for Isaac. I do. But I think it's worth considering that this year's car is nothing like the car of last year or the last 3 or 4 years, right? So not to take anything away from Isaac, but we just need to be realistic about this is a whole different car, whole different regulations. We'll see over time if he's right there with Max, if he's faster than Max, or he hangs with Max as they start developing that car over time. That'll be a more of a telltale sign, I think. But I'm just saying that because you don't want to put too much pressure on this guy.
No, I mean it does make sense. Historically, Perez wasn't that far behind Max.
No,
at the beginning, just the development caused a chasm, and with those older last development cars, and then no one was ever able to hang with Max. But it is great for Red Bull to know that Isaac can get the job done, not just compared to Max, but he can put it third on the grid, right?
Yeah.
It's not all about comparing to Max. There's no doubt.
No.
Max is a phenomenal driver, and I don't think he feels under threat, but Red Bull need a Hadjar to be of that level to fight for championships again.
Yeah, and that's the point. He was. Yeah, he was there. And had that not blown up, he was well on into the points, which is more than you can say from what Yuki was doing or Lawson. I would say that those are uniquely different cars that were heavily, designed and developed the way that Max exactly likes them. But we'll see. It's all thumbs up for me for Isaac. I want to be realistic about that. Let's see. Haas delivered strong points, all good on them. Ollie Behrman, showed really well. Esteban Ocon, more of a scrappy afternoon. Behrman qualified around the midfield, but ran as high as 5th early on. Fought Lindblad. Great racing between those two. That was fun to watch. Very entertaining duel, and then ultimately finished 7th. I think that's his best F1 result. If I'm off, don't beat me up on that.
Better, yeah.
Has he done a little better, like 6th or 5th?
I believe so.
Yeah, okay. All right, wasn't sure. But so anyway, like Norris and Verstappen, though, very critical of the regulations and the gamification. Was not a fan of it at all. But a great race. Like Isaac, like Lindblad showed us, like Bortoletto, I think Ollie Behrman is just doing a fantastic job. We saw him really come on song late last year. And it's great to see him continue that this year, even though the car's radically different, Paul.
Yeah, it is radically different. But yeah, he has continued his competitiveness in the field and his what's going to be dominance over his teammate.
Poor Esteban.
Yeah, well, yeah. Don't feel that bad for him. But the Haas have a gem in Behrman, and
they do.
Unfortunately, they may not have him there that much longer if he keeps driving this way, right? So
I think that's the risk. Yeah.
So enjoy it while you can. And obviously, Haas have done a great job with the car too for him to be able to do that. I mean, he can't do it on his own.
Yeah.
Give him a tool once again, and he can be competitive and does like a fight. He does like a fight.
He does. He likes to get in and mix it up. I like that about him. Love his style. Love Kimi's style. On the ragged edge, pushing it. It's what great drivers do. Esteban started behind his teammate, clashed with Gasly mid-race. Stewart's noted that didn't take any action, just missed out on the points in P11. But he does enter this season sternly on notice. So not the weekend he wanted with Ollie finishing ahead of him.
No, it was a typical Ocon race, really, isn't it?
Yeah. A lot of wheel banging and RG.
A lot of wheel banging. He's a little messy. He can be fast on occasion, but invariably, those things come back to haunt him, and he scores less points because of it.
That's a great point. Racing Bulls, sister team to Red Bull, exceeded my expectations. I'm happy to see that they did that well. I got to tell you, the newcomer Arvid Lindblad scored points on his debut. Liam had more of a volatile race, but Arvid Lindblad's finishing in P8 started strong, ran fifth early on, fell behind Verstappen and Behrman, but kept his cool to secure eighth. I am just, elated for him. He was overjoyed. He called the results pretty nuts, but he said, it's just to show that if there's an opportunity for there, I'm not going to sit around and not take it. I'm going. And
No.
what a terrific debut for this young driver who looked poised, unrattled. I would say even planted. In some of the defensive, some of the passing, the battle with Ollie. He wasn't flinging it all over the place, and it looked incredibly quick. I'm very impressed with him.
Yeah, he's got good racecraft, and the
Yeah.
one thing is he's not overwhelmed by any other driver out there.
Yeah.
I mean, he was fighting it even with Verstappen a little bit.
He was.
He did a great start, got up to fourth, I think, at the beginning, and unfortunately the car couldn't hold him there. But
Yeah.
I thought his qualifying was impressive. He was impressive in all the practices. It wasn't an anomaly. It wasn't a fluke. He's there to fight everybody, and he's got the skills. I mean, pretty good racecraft, as I said, pretty measured, pretty good head on his shoulders in how to use, even though he's maybe not enjoying the rules as it is, but it seemed like it wasn't above him mentally to use them in order for him to race other people well.
Right. Very complicated coming from a junior series into this technical regulation set, right?
Right.
And he did it with aplomb. He kind of very kind of Oscar-esque, when Oscar, not personality-wise, he's more effusive than Oscar is, clearly. But, I mean, just how he managed this weekend, how measured he was, his passing, his defense, his qualifying, his racecraft, and all kind of reminded me kind of how Oscar showed up,
Yeah. Honestly, it reminded me of, like, Vettel.
Yeah. That's probably a better analogy. Yeah, I like that better. Teammate Leon Lawson battle. It's just whenever he gets in the same zip code as Sergio Perez, he just can't avoid him. Those two just can't. He was in a battle with. I know he was a battle with Perez and Albon, and didn't get any penalty for wheel banging with Sergio, but he had a tough start, very tough start. That was always going to basically put paid to his entire race. I didn't read in detail what happened, but then
he went backwards at the start. I think he was in last place by the time he got to turn one. I don't know what happened at the start, but he was back there, and he really shouldn't have been fighting with those people, as we saw what Lindblad was, how competitive he was. But I think that start just killed him, and I don't know what happened to him, but he was definitely all the way at the back going into turn one.
Yeah, I haven't read. I mean, it was some sort of energy, didn't have any energy or whatever. I don't blame Liam for that. If it was some sort of battery issue, that's the car. But certainly put him on the back foot for the rest of the afternoon. Here's a great success story. I gotta be honest. Now, you and I, Paul.
Yes.
You used to work intimately with Audi, and I've owned several Audis. And you and I happen to be Audi fans. We just are.
Yep.
And have been for a long time. I am so excited about their race this weekend. Not excited with Nico's DNF that he suffered pre-race with the electrical thing, and he didn't start, but super excited for a works debut in the hands of Gabriel Bortoleto. Just the outright pace, reliability, everything. Gabby stayed out of trouble, executed a one-stop strategy, claimed 2 points. His result made Audi's maiden outing a complete success. And I'm so happy because there's so many question marks around Audi and, with a brand new engine. But I read somewhere that it happens to be the same team that built this, or many members of the team that built this engine were the ones that built the diesel for WEC and Le Mans that dominated.
Goodness.
And my friend, know firsthand what that's like.
Yeah, that was amazing, right? Yeah. Oh, that's good to hear. I mean, I'm glad they kept all those people, which was probably very difficult to keep those people in line when they didn't really have big programs going on. Audi haven't really been racing sports cars. for a while, just GT3 cars and stuff like that. So no, that's even, it makes me even happier, honestly. That,
Me too.
The DNA has continued from that group. So,
no wonder the engine was good and reliable, right?
Yeah. No, that's what it was. I mean, it's steady. Bordello, he did a great job in the battles that he had, and he just fought his way through. And the car was just it ran great, and
it did.
Keep in mind, they're in the same situation as Aston Martin, where they're just a single team with a single engine. There's not other teams or putting miles on these engines in testing or anything like that. So they've come to the table very similar to how the Aston Martin did, and to score the points that they did was super impressive.
Yeah, they have an advantage because this is really Sauber and it's been around for decades. Men and women in Hinwil know what they're doing, and they know how to digital. We're under-resourced for years. But they know what they're doing. But I will say, I don't want to overplay this, but watch this team. Because if it is Audi's geniuses that built the diesel that absolutely dominated Le Mans, they know what they're doing, right? And this is a team that, not this year, not next year, but this is a team to watch as a real legit title contender. So watch this space.
Yeah, just look at what they did in sports cars. If you go all the way back to the cars they brought out initially, and then they fine-tuned them. And I think I said on the preseason, they're not coming out there to try and make a quick splash. They've got a big picture ahead of them, and they're just going to come at it methodically. And kudos to them for being able to score points with that method right off the bat. So yes, definitely watch this space, because they're only going to kind of get better, aren't they? I
think they will. Yeah, watch that. Alpine's race was eventful. Pierre Gasly finished 10th, collided with Ocon. Franco Colapinto incurred a penalty for a starting infringement. But let's start with Pierre. Ran outside the points early on, but overtook Ocon after their contact and held on for the final point. A lot of defensive driving from Pierre there. That was kind of fun to watch, especially with the boost on for Ocon. I thought that was kind of funny watching them go back and forth. No love lost between those two.
No.
And that was fun. A bit redemptive, Paul. I know I overplayed my hand in preseason because I was saying in testing the Alpines look really good and they got a Mercedes engine, and I'm expecting them to move from the back of the grid to fight for best of the rest, and I overplayed my hand. I get it. But they did score a point. Yes, there was a lot of attrition. I just hope they can turn this thing around.
Yeah, it's a surprise that they were struggling with that.
Yeah.
We didn't know till we got there who's really got the pace, and it didn't seem like they were that far off, but it seemed like a typical Alpine weekend, unfortunately.
I know.
Yeah, they scrapped for points. But
I know.
They don't have the excuse of the engine anymore. So
I know.
It's all on them. Yeah, nowhere to hide.
It's on them. Yeah. Franco got that penalty, ran last, finished 2 laps down. But wow, what reflexes at the start, huh?
Yeah, it's scary.
Wow, that was scary. I
Yeah.
have flashbacks, I'm sure you do, from back in the 70s when the guys are holding their arm up because they're stalled in the grid and the cars come up behind them and crash into them.
Yeah, we've seen people die.
Seen people die from that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Man.
So, it's brutal. So good that he did that, because that would have been just horrendous.
Yeah, that would have been terrible. So great job, Franco. Just great reflexes. Another Stad story. Williams, they had a tough opener, Paul. Albon showed decent pace, but Carlos battled reliability concerns. James said they knew that their cars are not on song heading into this season. And that, Paul, that's not a great thing, if I'm honest, because he's been very vocal the last 2 years about ditching those 2 seasons. His focus was on 2026. He was like, we're not this year, and next year we aren't going to be, but 2026 is what our eye's on. And it's here. And so far the answer, it's just not good.
No.
Carlos will not be happy that for the last 2 seasons, they put all their time and effort in this season, and this is what they showed up to. Now, James says, we know what's wrong. We know we can fix it, and that kind of thing. But, boy, that is not a great opening weekend.
Yeah, if you know what's wrong, that's great, but you shouldn't really put yourself in that position.
No.
With that much forethought and time to prepare, and if your real focus really was on there. But hopefully they can get that turned around. I mean, once again, they don't have an excuse of an engine problem. They've got the engine that came 1-2. So it's all looking at them.
Yeah, it's all on them. You had Albon. He, as I mentioned, fought Lawson Perez. Car lacked straight line speed, finished out of the points. Carlos started on soft tires, pitted early, spent much of the race battling the underpowered Williams, trying to make something out of it. Finished 2 laps down. He had a terrible start too, though, in his defense. But I don't know. Very worried. Fighting for 5th in the championship last year to this. That's a big hill. It's a big hill.
But as I said about this whole thing, let's just give it three races.
Give it time. Yeah.
Yeah, but if they know they have a problem, they need to fix it quick.
Yeah. We're doing the Lawson gambit on the new regulations. Give it 3 races. It's not there in 3 races, can it? Cadillac, the American outfit, celebrated simply finishing the race, and that's good.
Yeah.
Power unit, a little bit of fragile in the case of Bottas, unfortunately. Start with Sergio battled Lawson. Albon in the midfield, survived a little bit of contact, ended 3 laps down, but achieved Cadillac's goal of finishing in their debut. They did. And then Bottas had a DNF, was running mid-pack, and then on lap 15, as a DNF, pulled it over and brought out the virtual safety car. So not a great race, but I think, Paul, nobody can be down on him. This is very, very difficult in finishing the race. This is a learning year for them, and that's okay, I think.
Yeah, I think the expectations are not very big.
I think they've right-sized those, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Don't coming into Formula One, the most difficult motorsport to be in, and think you can just kind of start running mid-pack would be silly. But decent enough, and finishing the race is very valuable. And it's just bigger things to come. It's just going to take a while. That's all. Yep.
Then there's Aston Martin, nightmare weekend for them. Persistent vibrations, reliability issues. I won't dwell on them. They both toiled around. Alonso retired the car, briefly rejoined and gathered some data and was unclassified. And Lance Stroll, kind of the same thing. There for a little while, Alonso was running around top 10. And I thought, man, if he can handle the vibrations and stuff, Fernando, if he can get there, but then they pulled him out.
I got a feeling he may have been light on fuel also.
yeah, he may have been. Yeah.
I think he threw everything out there. They knew they weren't going to get to the end. It seemed like they were already telling everybody we'd done off 25 laps. They went a little further than that, but
a little longer.
I think they just wanted to do something. Why not?
Yeah.
Why the hell
Why
not?
not?
Give it a go.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Right. So anyway, well, that's how they finish. That's what we think. But we do hand out awards in this race review podcast, and you know what we do? We always hand out the first award, which is Move of the Race.
Get down.
You bet, Paul. Move of the race. What'd you have?
I'm giving it to the Mercedes pit crew.
Nice.
Even though it wasn't actually in the race, it had a deep effect on the race. Turning the car around, cannot big them up enough for what they achieved on Kimi's car, and he did the job and put all their efforts in and made them worthwhile, which is even greater.
Yeah. My move of the race is purely biased and selfish because it gave me brief. Yeah, right. It gave me brief hope. It was Charles' daring launch. They came out fourth to first at the start, squeezed between Russell, squeezed between Hadjar, got all the way up to first, using the overtake mode, took the lead. It just set the tone for what then ended up being this whole back and forth. And I was so exhilarated, thinking, "Oh my gosh, maybe we overplayed Mercedes' performance advantage over Ferrari." Blah blah. I was all excited. Yeah, not so much. Okay, so then it was kind of like, oh my gosh, it's Ferrari. So anyway.
But it was fun while it lasted.
It was fun while it lasted. It got my hopes up briefly, but that was it. All right. That leads us to the next award. That typically is like,
It's a shitbox. Hey, what happened?
We'll do it live.
Yep, Donkey of the Race. One of Paul's favorite awards.
Yeah, Do I give it to the rules or do I give it to Piastri?
Oh, those are both good ones.
Yeah, I'm going to give it to Oscar because that's brutal. I think we beat up on the rules pretty good already. But
We did.
Yeah, pretty brutal. Australia
Yeah.
never gets a good rub of their drivers in their race.
I know.
It's so bizarre.
It is bizarre. It is so bizarre. It's unfortunate. Yeah, no doubt.
It's nearly as bizarre as Jenson Button never being on the podium in a British Grand Prix.
I know. Crazy.
Very similar. Yeah.
Oh, exactly. It's crazy. Well, as much as I was excited about my team, I gave him Donkey of the Race, not pitting. You just deprived yourself of even a shot at victory. Come on.
Right.
Split the strategy. You know better than
Never
that.
know
Come on,
what's gonna
Fred.
happen. Yeah.
That was bad. All right. Well, then the final award. Oh, yeah.
Get in there, Lewis.
Get down.
You like my bass? You like it?
Not so much, Sergio, but that's all right. Give it time. Cadillac could be better. All right. Drive the race, Paul. What'd you have?
I'm giving it to Lindblad. I thought that
Nice.
was quite the debut. I really enjoyed
Nice.
watching him. It's exciting.
Very nice. Yeah, I got honorable mentions to Lindblad scoring points on debut. George Russell pulling off the one stop. Easily give it to George. I'm going to go with Max starting in this spec car, starting dead last, finishing all the way up in the points in 6. Pretty damned impressive.
Pretty impressive, for sure.
Very impressive. You may hate the guy. I don't know, but he's
Yeah.
incredible. He is incredible.
It's like you nearly get used to his impressive drives. You say, oh, well, it's just Max, but he's just a human against the other humans. You know,
Yeah.
he does extraordinary things.
He does. He does some amazing things. So anyway, all right. Well, that's what we think about the race. You let us know what you think. You can do that at theparkforme.com. Share your opinion, of course. If you like this podcast, go and give us a good rating on your favorite podcast player. Share it on social media. Spread it with friends. Spread the word. Yeah. You know, why not? We're not out here arm waving and being wacky and being, controversial and saying really crazy things. We at least try to be measured in our review. A podcast, Paul, for the adults. So there you go.
I hope.
Yeah, I hope. But anyway, a huge thank you to our Patreon supporters. Now, look, if you're a Patreon supporter, go over to our Patreon page, because if you haven't gotten into our TPF Fantasy GP League, all the details are there, folks. So go over to that. It has the code that you need to join our league. I'm already dead last, and I really feel like my team was a good team, and I'm like at the very back. It was terrible. So I even had George for the win. It was terrible. So I had Mercedes.
Yeah.
I got to go.
Yeah.
This week I got to go change everything again. But anyway, so if you're a Patreon supporter, please do join us in that, because we have a lot
it's
of fun
fun.
with all of you in that.
I love the names in that.
Oh, the names are great.
The names
Yeah.
are amazing. One
They
time
are.
we should just name the names out there, but there's some
Yeah.
really, really cool stuff.
The
People came
team
up with.
names are hilarious. You guys are
The
creative.
Thought Brokers is a fun one. For
That's a fun one. Yeah. You're an international playboy. I want the generic depart from A. But anyway, we have a lot of fun with all of our Patreon supporters there. Also, if you are interested in being a Patreon supporter, you can get the audio version of the podcast and the video with no advertising, no commercials. So that's
Lovely.
worth supporting us for, isn't it? So anyway, all right, Paul, we don't have too much time. Next week, you're going to be in Sebring.
I am.
And we'll be talking to you live from which corner at the hotel?
From the hairpin,
From the hairpin. Yeah. So we'll be talking to Paul next Monday evening to be reviewing the Chinese Grand Prix. So stay tuned for that. And Paul, tell everybody what you're going to Sebring for. Can you tell us?
The 12-hour. Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
One of the
How you
biggest
feeling?
races of the year. I love Sebring as a track.
Yeah.
And we were competitive at Daytona. Hopefully we can fix the Valkyrie's woes. I think we have, but it's been a long road right now. But
It's a very
I think
bumpy
we're seeing
track.
some light at the end of the tunnel. The car wasn't bad there before.
Yeah.
So, but I think the GT car has a really good shot. Yeah.
All right. Watch that space, folks. Paul's going racing at Sebring, and check that out. So a lot of racing coming up this weekend. Until next week when we do it all over again, this is Todd, a.k.a. Negative Camber, saying so long.
That's it, man. Game over, man. It's game